Okay, I'm back. Um, got into February, it threw me off, so I stopped tracking on the 2nd of February, and I don't even think what I wrote down that day was accurate. So I stopped tracking. It just became a lot for me to track. What I will go over, if I can pull them out real quick, is so my Whipco, I think I just knocked the camera, sorry. My Whipco pulls for January were number 6 was the pandemic sampler. Number 13 was pulled. It was the free space. I left that as the free space. I was hoping for a reprieve later in the year. It got pulled right out of the gate. And number 18 was Southern Land by Owl Forest Embroidery. So let's show you Southern Land first. This is Southern Land, for those of you that don't know, by Owl Forest Embroidery. These are the colors, which are just, they're just pretty. They are just pretty. And sorry, mine always get kind of messed up because I do that whole thing where I use my needle and I pull one strand off and I do the loop method. Yeah, they're just pretty together, really pretty. I'm stitching this on, I know it's 36 count, and I think it's Edinburgh white. And this is what I got done. So I finished that whole top section, started on that second section. And my goal on Whipco was to give 10 hours of stitching to each project. I may come back to this one. That's 10 hours of my stitching time. Now keep in mind I have a puppy, so my stitching time now is very distracted. But it is what it is. And I'm sorry you're going to hear that puppy in the background this whole video because he's not stopping. My second pull for Whipco for January was the pandemic sampler. By Sarcy Girl. This is free. Somebody's starting a sale. I think it's Emily. And I'm trying to remember her floss tube name. She's starting a sale. They're starting this, I think, March 1st for her birthday month. I had already started it. March is also my birthday month. I had already started it. Here are the threads. And they're just, again, my threads are always a mess. Now you hear my husband yell at the puppy. I'm listening to see what happens. I'm stitching this on 36 count Dirty Linen by Extra Designs. And again, this got 10 hours of stitching time. Now, I had to frog some of this, so my 10 hours of stitching time did not go the way I wanted it to go. I guess I need to fold this again so the light stops coming through. But I got a lot done. I have almost a page finished there. So I'm good with that. And honestly, I could stitch on it more. And I don't know. I'm getting to the point now. We'll talk about that at the end. But yeah, there's certain things I want to work on, and I'd love to be able to sit down and just work on them until they're done. Those were my 2 Whipco goals. So the other thing I was been working on this month is the Modern Folk Embroidery Sale. Now I have a little bit of a story with this. And hopefully I can find all my parts and pieces. So I started this with the called for colors. This is Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery. I started on a piece of 40 count attic lace from Lakeside Linen with the called for DMC. So a couple things happened with this. I should take the pin out of there since I'm not doing this anymore. This was most of January's and some of February's here. And I did it in the called for colors. So the problem I have with this is this bottom part I stitched wrong twice. Frogged it twice. Frogging on 40 count linen is not my um, not my jam. I don't think it's anybody's jam, but it really ticked me off. So then I put it in timeout. And then when I pulled it back out to work on it, it's the colors. I mean, the colors are beautiful. I think he picked great colors, but the colors really aren't me. I mean, I love blues and stuff, but I like things more vibrant than that. So I was talking to my friend Gail from Gail's Golden Needle. If you haven't checked out her floss tube, check her out. And I was telling her on our Zoom call, because we are trying to meet, we're trying to meet weekly now on Zoom to stitch and talk, because we're both nurses. We have a lot to talk about, and we both love stitching and quilting, so yeah, no lack of conversation there. And I just said I was having trouble picking this up because I just was not in love with it. And this is a huge piece of linen. I mean, if I wanted to, I could make this into a pillow or something, and I may down the road. But anyway, so I set this aside. And then I got thinking about it because I love the pattern, and I've been seeing so many color variations. I love Gail's. Gail's has done a different, like you have to check her out. If you check her out on Instagram too, Gail's Golden Needle. And I've seen other versions and love them. Was struggling with what to do for mine. So I'm going to show you a picture of what it looks like in the end. It's not a mystery sale that you just get parts every month for the year. Yeah, and that's what it looks like. And it's beautiful. It's just not my thing. So I have restarted it. I have restarted it on a piece of 36 count porcelain, lakeside linens with a Zweigart base. So 36 count porcelain. And I'm experimenting. So I am using, let's get this out there right now, DMC 3799, which is a dark gray, and I'll show you what I'm doing with that. I'm using DMC 823 as my kind of navy blue. And I'm using a sulky blendable. I think it's 713-4016. I don't know what the name of it is, but I'll show it to you here. Can you see that? It's blues and greens. It's variegated. And here is what I've started with. So I have part one. I think it's 39% complete according to Pattern Keeper. Let me get something to put over here. And I'm in love with that. So the bowl here is in that gray, the DMC gray. The bird is stitched 2/2 with the DMC blue. Everything else in this is stitched 1/2, except for the bowl and the bird. So I'm going to put it closer so you can see the sulky. So the sulky's thicker than the DMC, so that's going to get better coverage. Then the blueberries in that bowl are stitched 1/2, and the bird and the bowl itself are stitched 2/2. And what I'm playing with is both color placement and dimension. I like the fact, let me put this back here, I wasn't quite done, I guess. I like the fact that the bird stands out and the bowl will stand out and the variegated berries will stand out. But then these are stitched 1/2 and they will kind of sit back a little bit. And I think it'll give this piece some dimension. So curious as to what your thoughts are on here. I'm going to continue because I'm loving it. I spent a lot of time on it yesterday because now with my schedule, I get Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays off. I'm going to spend some more time on it today. I'd like to get caught up before the end of the month. We'll see. It's a pretty, there's lots of stitches. Like each part has 4,000 or more stitches, but it kind of goes fast. So my thought is, in looking at the pattern, like I will decide as I go what gets 2/2 versus 1/2. But I'm thinking the birds will all get 2/2. The bowls will all get 2/2, or containers, I should say. And I think here, the hands will get 2/2. Any in the house will get 2/2. I think those elements will all get 2/2. And then the rest we'll have to figure out. Like I might do, like this motif right here. I don't know if you can see it. I might do it 2/2 inside, and then the same color 1/2 around the ring. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes, but I'm going to kind of decide as I go. I think that's part of the fun. I think the squirrels will definitely be 2/2, where the vine may be 1/2. I don't know. So let me know what your thoughts are. I am enjoying, this is the first piece I've ever experimented in that way with 2/2 versus 1/2, but I'm liking the dimension that it gives it. So I'm kind of stick with it, and we'll see. And I think it's going to look great, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. What else was I working on in January? Anniversaries of the Heart. So I did collect all the Anniversaries of the Heart pattern, and my goal was to finish one a month. This was the one I was doing in January, block number 1. This is Snow Garden. I'm doing the call for DMCs. I'm also stitching this on 36 count light exemplar from Lakeside Linens, Swigart based. I have not gotten very far, to be quite honest. So this may have to come back out so I can get caught up on this. But paper, pattern, something. So there you go. I have been using, I know I generally stitch in hand, and I had alluded to this in an earlier floss tube that my hands were starting to bother me a little bit with that. So I think it's just age and stuff. So I'm using hoops and Q-snaps now, and I'm doing the sewing method. So my hand goes underneath, and I'm doing the sewing method, and that means I need less grip power in this because I just kind of balance everything. And it works. Right now it's working, and it's keeping me stitching and stitching fast, so, or as fast as I'd like anyway. So I'm hoping to work more on that. I just haven't been feeling it. And as a matter of fact, you'll tell how disheveled I am because there are things that I'm supposed to be working on that I didn't work on or whatever. But so we've talked about my Whip Go, the Anniversaries of the Heart, which was my year focus. The other year focus that I have is my Lost No More. This is my oldest whip. It is 20 plus years old. It is a Dimensions Gold kit. And I believe Handwork Maniac is also working on this at the moment. What I've been trying to do is do a block of 100 stitches every day. Oh, this is kind of a mess. 100 block of stitches every day, but I will tell you this last week it hasn't gotten anything. I was parking, doing a block and parking, and now I'm starting to weave in those threads because parking the threads kind of makes me a little crazy. But I have made progress, so I've been filling in. This is all filled in. I think I did 2,000 stitches on it in January, and that was just during my morning coffee every morning. So, yeah. And then, so now I'm making progress and filling in, and it needs to come back out. I'm not sure why I've stepped away from it. I think it was trying to catch up with Modern Folk Embroidery, but it really needs to come back out. There are 3 major goals for me this year. Okay, 4. I would love to keep up with the Modern Folk Embroidery sale. I'm not famous for keeping up with sales. especially not big ones. But I want to keep up with that one. I want to have it done at the end of the year. I also would like to have this done at the end of 2021. So that's one of my big goals. One of my other major goals is my chatelaine, which I will show you here shortly. So in February, what was called in February? Let's look. For Whipco, number 4, Jack Frost, Tree Farm was called. I have not touched that yet at all, and we are on the 15th of January. Number 20 was called That is Huckleberry Farm. I have stitched maybe 1 hour on Huckleberry Farm, no more than that. So let's remind everybody, Huckleberry Farm. Let me see if I can find the picture. I should have this stuff all out and ready for you guys, but obviously that's not me today. So Huckleberry Farm by the Blue Flower. I love this. My thing when I first brought this back out, believe it or not, is I said to myself, I'm going to stitch on this until it's done. I love this. I want it on my wall. And I do. But I haven't pulled it out since. I put 1 hour into it, and I haven't pulled it out since. And that 1 hour was spent on this side. I did this grassy area, the beehive, the bear, and this. This is done on, I believe it's 16 count Shale Ada by Picture This Plus. So yeah. I think what happened was this bear is actually charted. I'm using the DMC conversion, and this bear, the chart symbol is actually the same color as these letters, which is kind of burgundy. So I went back and did that bear the same color as this bear, and it just kind of threw me off, I think, a little bit, and so I haven't worked on it since. This is also one where I put it in a hoop, a small hoop, and kind of did the sewing method. I'm finding that right now that works for me. I'm not sure what the deal with hand is. Like, I'm having trouble, like last night. You know when you open a container, it's got that film you peel off? So, like feta cheese, when we buy it, has that. Or a tub of Parmesan cheese has that. I had to have my husband peel one of those off yesterday because my grip just absolutely could not do it. So I think it's just arthritis, stiffness, winter. I'm hoping maybe it's some fluid retention because, you know, I'm in that stage of life. But yeah, it comes and it goes. Sometimes I have rough times, sometimes it's better. But as long as I can keep stitching, I don't really care. Okay. We're only 18 minutes in. That's not bad. I'm doing pretty good. All right, so I'm saving my best for last. I talked to you about Jack Frost Tree Farm. I haven't really started. I haven't done anything on this since last time I showed it to you, so I'm not going to waste time showing it to you now. I also, my focus piece for the month is Tokens by With Thy Needle and Thread, and I haven't done anything on that since last time I showed it to you, so I'm not showing it to you again. So let's talk about comfort stitching. So, you know, I don't want to get into too much life updates, but you guys have been around enough to know that my life is sometimes kind of chaotic. And you know, it's a weird time when you're in the sandwich generation of your life, or sandwich generation between kids. And although my kids are not small anymore, and parents needing a little more help, and kids in their 20s, you know, trying to figure out who they are, or struggling, you know, through the pandemic and all the things that come with that. It has been an interesting year for sure, and it sure has not slowed down at all at the moment. So I do definitely, I feel like I'm umming a lot today, so I'm sorry. Turn to my stitching or my happy place down here in the basement, or my sewing, to kind of bring some sort of I don't know, what I would consider maybe normalcy or some peace. I'm a woman of faith, and I often have conversations with God on my drive into work or my drive home, or while I'm stitching. Um, Matter of fact, I was co-teacher in a classroom this week and sat in the back and started knitting a cuff of a sock because my creative brain, and I'm sure most of you can relate to this, my creative brain starts to wander if it's not occupied. And I can actually do something mindless like knit the cuff of a sock and listen to the instructor and participate in the classroom. And so that's kind of how I roll. Um, it just makes me giggle when I think about it because I'm kind of ADD sometimes when it comes to crafting, because I will stitch a few things on something and I'll switch to something else until I feel like I'm doing comfort stitching. There's some pieces that just take more thought, or you're in a place in it that it's 1/1, or it's got a lot of confetti, and you just want comfort stitching. You just want like big blocks of color, or monochromatic piece for me is a good comfort stitch. Something that's on Pattern Keeper that's monochromatic or has large chunks of color, or even the full coverage piece that I'm making my way on. That I've gridded and it's easy. You get my point, right? The stuff that you don't have to think about, and that's my comfort stitching. Well, a couple nights ago, I really had a really hard day. It was a hard day at work. It was a hard day with our family. And I wanted comfort stitching. So I totally went off the res and totally went off my plans and pawed through my crate that has my 20 some odd whips in it and pulled this out. This is called Kindness and Fortitude, a Quaker sampler, and this is by Modern Folk Embroidery. I downloaded this before I had Pattern Keeper, so I have not uploaded this into Pattern Keeper. I'm working off the paper chart. And I don't know looking back why I pulled it out, because it's all white. I'm stitching using 3865 on a navy dyed 20 count Ada that I dyed myself. And everybody complains about stitching white. I don't have a problem stitching white, so I'm not sure what the deal is with that. But I'm not somebody that wants, so people get very concerned about how their stitchers are laying. I think if it looks okay from 5 feet away, it looks okay. And I'm okay with that. So this is 20 count Ada. Did I say 20 count? I dyed it with Midnight Blue. I kind of dunked it, so it's got some modeling. Oh, so I'll show you the whole piece, I guess, so you can see the modeling. And I stitched away on this. This was one of my mania starts, and I hadn't really worked on it since. And so this is what I got done, and I think it's beautiful. I finished this. I started on this. I had to frog some of this because I was wrong somewhere. But I really like it, how it's working out. And I will keep it out now in my current thing. My current cubby I have with my few things that I'm trying to focus on right now. And then I have the rest down here in my craft room so that I'm less distracted, I'm hoping. So I don't know. I don't know for me if Whipco's going to continue to work. We'll see. I might feel like working on Jack Frost Tree Farm, and I may pull it out. I don't think either one, the Huckleberry Farm or Jack Frost Tree Farm this month, will get 10 hours, but I could be wrong. I could get my homework done today and decide that that's what I'm working on. I don't know. I don't really know how that works for me. I do try to keep, like I said, I have a few projects near my stitchy chair, and I have the rest all down here trying to focus on narrow my focus, I guess, is a good thing to do. I have not been buying things this year, although not bought anywhere near what I bought in the past. yeah. So I bought one pattern from Chatelaine, Evening in the Park. I bought some fabric, and that's on its way here. I'm in some clubs, so I'm in NPI Soak of the Month from Fat Quarter Shop. I'm in the Truck and Along Club, so I get that. And I'm in a Block of the Month club for my quilting with Tula Pink, so I will still get those. And I just ordered some more silks from my Mushroom and Fern, so let's show you. I took this off the frame today because I need to reattach it differently. It's not working the way it's... I didn't attach it well the first time. So I'm going to reattach today, and we're going to do some beading on that today, and I'll show you. But here's the picture. This is Mushroom and Fern Chatelaine by Chatelaine. Martina, right? Rosenberg. She's since passed, but she was a genius as far as designing cross stitches. And if I didn't say it already, this is one of my goals to get this done this year. I've committed to it on Facebook. This is kind of a hot mess because I have things parked. But let's see if I can get it folded. So let's remind you where I am. I'm working on the middle and the bottom, so I've done the middle. And I'm going to fold this again. You see the middle? Okay, so this part here, let me fold this down, is what I've been focusing on over the last couple weeks. Let me see if I can get it down right there. So this is on a large frame up in my living room, and I'm working on the beading in this section right now. So I started beading right in here. I don't know if you guys can see, right in there. And you can see the shadow of my invisible thread because that's what I used to bead. And I'm working on the beading. So this is going back on the frame today, and I am going to be working on beading today. This is a wonderful, it's a wonderful stitch. I do think that I could be quite happy stitching on that all the time, and yeah. And I've talked to Gail about that too. The problem is I also want to keep up on the other stuff, so I don't. But today we're going to be working on beading, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get some stuff done around the house. I'm going to pop in a movie, and I'm going to spend some time beading. It's a nice one. I like it a lot. So here's a stitchy story for you. So I bought a Haid. This was my first Haid that I bought. I've since bought I don't think I bought another Haid. I did buy another full coverage. It's a Disney related piece, but I don't think it's a Haid. If you don't know what Haid is, it's a Heaven and Earth design. This is called Bonded in the Rain. This is the full color version. Well, contains 87 colors, whatever that was. The artwork is by Leonid Afremov. So this is what it looks like stitched. And this is my story. I started it on a piece of 20 count Aida, 1/1. This was my start. Let me keep this folded. Eventually I'll learn that I need to keep things folded so the light doesn't go right through it. I'm not used to it because usually I'm up by my computer, and this time I'm on my phone. So let's do it this way. So you see my start right there? And I wasn't happy with the coverage. Now, moral to the story is you need to chill out on coverage unless you're standing 5 feet away, because 5 feet away it looks fine. Anyway, I ordered some 25 count Lugana, so I could easy grid was not available. I was having a hard time finding it. So I just got this. I'm gridding it myself with my fusion pen, and I know some people have an issue with fusion pens. I do not. I've since gotten a different, or friction pen, I think it's called. I'm looking now. I've since got a different friction pen, and I might be using that. But the marks aren't going to show anyway, because this piece is full coverage, number one. It doesn't have white in it, number two, and I'm going to frame it tight. So however I get this framed, even if I mat it, it's going to be tight to the stitching. I'm not worried about anything. So this is my new start on the 25 count 1/1, and I do like the coverage better. It's tighter coverage. I think stitching 1/1 has some issues. Like it's a learning curve for me. The thread, if you go a certain way making your X, the thread will slip under. So I think for me, I've just started to do like several stitches. I'll do one leg and come back and do the other leg, and that way I don't have that issue. And so because the other way was just too much thinking for me. But that was my start or my restart. I started with just parking and doing the diagonals, and then that started to drive me nuts. So I'm now doing cross country, and I've decided that cross country is actually the way I'm going to go. I do this in a small hoop or Q-snap, and I just let the rest of the fabric just kind of sit in my lap. I do have an 11-inch Q-snap, and I think I will migrate to that once I get more of this done, but I find the 11 inches is a lot if you're working up in the upper left corner, or this is the case, the upper right corner. It's a lot to reach around this big Q-snap. So, and I do something funky on these. I do tend to two-handed stitch. I kind of wedge the Q-snap between my arms. This is going to look ridiculous. And I kind of do this. And I find that I enjoy that. I watched X Stitch MD. She's working on a mini version of this, and the progress that she's made makes me jealous. I do want to work on this, and I do on occasion work on it, but as of right now, it just sits in next to my chair. And I work on it when I feel like I can. And I think that's it for the stitching. Yeah. I received, let's look at a little haul. So I've received more than this, but I don't have any of it here. And some of it I can't show you yet because it was a box from Black Needle Society, and they've asked not to reveal yet. So I'm not going to show that yet. I mentioned the Fine Floss of the Month Club from Fat Quarter Shop from MPI Silks. Now these silks are not variegated. They are, I can't remember if they're color fast or not. You get 5 skeins, 5 meters each. This was iris blue, and this is what it looks like. Very pretty. So that'll build up my silk stash because I do like stitching with them. But as soon as I'm in that club for a while, I will cancel that club as well. I'm eventually going to be out of, excuse me, all of my clubs because I just have enough stuff to keep me busy for quite some time. Like, I got this a while ago, and I showed you guys this. Bee Stitch Me was dyeing floss. I bought 50 yards of Stardust just because I love it, and I'm trying, well, I'm not starting anything right now, but I'd like to start a piece that only takes 50 yards and do it with this floss. So yeah, I have some things in my radar. I am thinking about doing a birthday month start. And I pretty much know which one I would want to start for my birthday. My birthday month is March, so that start date would be coming up. So I have to kind of figure out what that is and start it. But other than that, I'm going to go into knitting for about 2 minutes and then we're over. As you guys know, I taught myself how to knit socks in 2020. It took me 6 months to knit my first pair. I'm hoping this pair goes better. This pair, I started out of this yarn. This is yarn from, and I don't have the colorway, so before you ask me, I almost think it's Jasmine, because it was Disney Princesses, I think. But I'm not sure. And I split my skein of yarn into 2 50-gram balls because my goal was to knit them concurrently. This is, did I say who this is from? This is from Forbidden Fiber Co. Yep. Love their yarn. I was in their Yarn of the Month Club, their Sock Yarn of the Month Club for a while. She also now has a floss tube, so go check her out. and she's dyeing flosses now, which is great. But then I got all the sock yarn and I wasn't making socks fast enough. So I stopped the club because I wasn't making socks fast enough. But I've always been wanting to make socks. So I've started both. So this one has the cuff done and I've started on the leg. And then there's another one in here somewhere. So this one, the cuff's almost done. This is the one I started the cuff in the back of the classroom the other day. So this cuff is almost done. And I am loving her yarn. Now I don't have a ton of yarn of sock knitting experience to compare yarns, but I'm just loving it. I like working with her yarn. I like knitting because I do think it helps some of the issue that I'm having with my hands because it's finer work on these small needles, and I do think it keeps them moving. So I'm hopeful that that works. I don't think I have anything. I'm looking around just to make sure. I don't have anything else to talk about except it's nice to be back. I've had several people reach out to me. Every time I don't do a video for a period of time, I have a couple people that reach out to me. I'm fine. Everything's fine. It's just been super busy, and I've been choosing to take my time to craft and not do so much on YouTube. It takes time to do these videos. It takes time to upload the video from my phone and then do whatever editing that I do need to do, which you guys know I hate editing, to get it up on YouTube. Next month, I will talk about all my stitchy stuff, which I probably won't have much more if I do it early in the month because maybe I'll wait mid-month so it's actually a month. I'm not participating in March Madness. I'm not participating in Stitch Mania this year. I am doing Stitch Sania maybe. I'll plan 4 starts during the month of May. Yeah, my goal is to finish pieces this year. That's my deal. So, and lower my whip count. That would also be a good goal. And I'm de-stashing some of my stuff to my kids, which is also kind of fun. So that's good too. But anyway, thanks for joining me. I'm sorry about all the ums today. I'm out of practice, but thanks for coming back. I appreciate your support, and if for no other reason, this documents my crafting journey for my kids. And if there's anything that you would like to see that you haven't seen, by all means, let me know. Next week, I will show you the progress I've made on my Nebula blocks for my Tula Pink quilt, and some progress that I've made on my Christmas Bargello quilt that I'm making. But like I said, we'll do everything other than cross stitch at the very end. That way you guys know where it is. And I'll keep you posted on my shadowing. I would love to do a stitch with me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that happen or not. You know, historically I have issues with the camera with Stitch With Me's. So we'll see how that goes, okay? But thanks, guys, and have a great day, and stay safe, warm, and stitch all the things.